Hey, Jordan Bench here, jordanbench.com, and this video is all about not letting nasty sewage steal your joy. Now, I know that kind of has a funny ring to it, but at the end of this video, you're going to know what I'm talking about. So, last night, I encountered a certain situation. I was in my office, I was working, and I went out in the living room to go, just to go see what's going on. My wife was out there. And when I walked out in the living room, I noticed a certain smell. It kind of smelled like rotten eggs. Now, my wife is pregnant, so initially I thought, okay, I've been in the office this whole time, and maybe you're just out here having some type of weird, I can't even say it, having some type of weird pregnancy gas. Like, I didn't know what was going on. I'm like, okay, I'll just let this to myself because I don't want to trigger any type of, hormones or whatever. So I just, kind of came back into the office and I recorded a video. And, after some time went by, I went back out in the living room and I kind of was hit with that smell again, but it was even worse this time. I'm like, man, what, what has she been doing out here? Like, this is bad. Like, this is not typically what ever happens or anything. So I'm just thinking something is really going on with this pregnancy. Like, this is really bad. And I walked past the bathroom, I'm like, nope, not going in there because I don't know what you've been doing. So, and please understand, like, me and my wife, we have a really good relationship, and we don't like make fun of each other. We don't like knock each other down or anything like that. But in the moment, though, I'm just like, keep this to yourself. Don't say anything. Straight face. Don't even smile. Well, so my wife had her headphones in, and she takes her headphones out, and she looks at me, and she's like, "What is that smell? Like, it smells like straight sewage." And I'm like, "Oh, so it wasn't you, okay?" Because I thought it was you the whole time. I thought that smell was coming from you. She's like, "No, I just now smelled it. It smells horrible. It smells like sewage." And we're both just like kind of scratching our head, like, what is that smell? What is this? Like, our entire kitchen and our living room smells like straight sewage. And we're like, this is disgusting. This is really gross. So it was like late at night too. This is last night, and we're like, we can't really go outside and figure anything out. So because it was getting pretty late out, so we're like, all right, we'll just figure it out in the morning. So this morning, we wake up and go out in the kitchen, and the smell was even worse. We're like, this is horrendous. Like, this is rotten eggs times 10. This is bad. So we go outside, and I go out and I look around, and I go out to where the septic tank is. And sure enough, my septic tank is like right next to my deck. And I look under my deck. My entire deck is like flooded. Like, underneath of it, it's just flooded. And it's like butting up against the house. And it's so bad. Like, the water is like murky gray looking. It's like, not clear at all. And I'm like, oh, this is not good. This is not good. And so I make a couple phone calls because I don't know much about septics or anything. And so I make a couple phone calls trying to figure out what's going on. And, we end up looking at it. And sure enough, like, that the septic was flooded because we've had so much rain recently. I think they've said this has been the most amount of rain we've had in like 7 years where I'm at. So we've just been getting hit with tons and tons of rain. So anyways, I ended up calling the septic guy, to basically take out all the stuff because I'm thinking, the stuff just overloaded or who knows what. We got this house about a year ago or so. So we've never cleaned the septic out, and we didn't know who done it before us or anything else. So anyways, we ended up getting the septic pumped out. And the crazy thing is as the guy, he's pumping, we have two tanks, and as he's pumping the two tanks out, he's like looking at me and he's like, man, your tank is like filling up as I'm pumping this stuff out. And we're like, well, that's not good. Like, that's not good. Like, you're supposed to be emptying this, and we're not supposed to be refilling it. And I just think a lot of it had to do with how much rain we've been getting. So anyways, after he was done, he emptied both tanks. He's like looking at me, he's like, so you have two tanks and each of them is 1,000 gallons, and my truck over here is 4,200 gallons, and you have filled my entire truck. So I'm like, wait, that doesn't, the math's not lining up here. And what happened is we're getting so much water coming into the tank, it's just overflowing and it's getting backed up, it is flooding, and it was getting into the house, which is where that smell was coming from, because it was actually, somehow it was seeping out, and it was just bad news bears like all across the board. So he ended up pumping it out. Well, as he gets done, he pumps it all out and stuff. And then we found out that there's like this thing that we have to do where we have to seal around the lid because it wasn't done properly and it was causing leaking and everything else. So we ended up getting some cement out and mix all the cement, and we begin to like lay the mortar around it to seal it all off and everything. So we do that. But I ended up checking the tank again, and I checked like the reserve tank, I guess is what you want to call it, the one that holds all the liquids and stuff. And I checked that, and as I checked that, I noticed that tank had filled up already. It's been 2 hours since this guy left, and that tank is already filled. 1,000 gallons, and it's already filled, and it's now going into the next tank. And I'm like, we just paid, however much, several $100s to basically have this guy drain these two tanks, and one's already filled up again. I'm like, I just threw money away. Like, I seriously just threw money away. And then the next thing I know, like I said, we're looking and there's more water going into the other tank. So as I'm speaking to you right now, where we're at, I seriously don't know where that second tank's at. I checked it a while back, and the second tank was like 3/4 filled. So I'm gonna have to check the tank after this video and just see like, okay, is it filled up again? Our boat tank filled up again? And now I have to worry about it, being flooded again and then getting backed up and everything. So I have a really good feeling I'm gonna have to make a phone call in the morning to have the same guy come out and empty the two tanks again. So I'm really expecting that to happen. But so to just kind of add to this whole thing, so we had like bags of concrete. I had this 3 bags of like 80-pound concrete, and we used 2 bags. And I'm using the very last bag. I'm picking it up because we're done. I'm picking it up, and I'm gonna go put it back in our garage. And as I pick up the bag of concrete seriously just, because it was older, I think. I mean, it was here when we got this house. The bag of concrete just went, and all the concrete, all the powder just went right into the yard, all the rocks and everything into the yard. And it's like raining out and everything. And I'm just laughing. I'm like, that's interesting. Okay. All right. That's interesting. So all this stuff is happening. And meanwhile, as I'm saying all this stuff, like, we still have no idea how all this water is coming into our tank. Yes, we were able to empty the tanks, but yet the problem still is nowhere near fixed, because we have no idea how all this water is getting in, because we're thinking there's just so much water on our land that is just going into the leach lines, or somehow, I don't understand the terminology. All I know is we have water going into our tanks. And at one point, it was coming in from both ends, from the first tank and from the second tank. We had water just coming in from all different directions, and then causing this huge flooding, sewage fiasco, horrible smellage mess. I mean, my office, it smelled like straight poo. It was so bad. Like, I was gagging at one point. And this was all this morning. So like all day long, I've been outside in the freezing cold, to where it's like snowing and everything else, trying to deal with sewage. And this morning I'm thinking, okay, yeah, I have to do this, I have to get this done, get that done, all this checklist stuff that I have to do. But then this whole thing just arises, it comes up. And the reason why I'm telling you this whole story about all this stuff that's going on right now is because, for me, if this would have happened to me like 8 years ago, if all this stuff would have happened 8 years ago, maybe 9, before I got saved, I know for sure I would have been freaking out, because I would have said to myself, where am I going to get the money to pay for this? I have no idea what's even going on. How is this going to happen? What's going to happen? This is too much for me to handle right now. And I'm not saying, please understand, I'm not saying that this story right here, that this is like so overwhelming and it's so bad, because I know that we always can compare different stories and say, well, you think your story is that bad. Well, I have a story that tops your story. So I'm not saying my story tops stories. All I'm saying is this is what I dealt with today, and this is what I was going through. And going through this process, there's a lot of times when you can start getting these thoughts of like fear or doubt, or just these thoughts that can just steal your joy in those moments, to where you go into like freak out mode. And I've been saved now for 8 years or so, and I've had the peace of God with me since He's been with me. And he gives you that joy, that love, that peace that just surpasses all understanding. And in this moment today, I've had so many opportunities where I should have been mad, I should have gotten angry, I should have been complaining about every little situation that's been going on. But none of that has been in me today at all. Like, it's just, if anything, I just kind of laugh at it. And one of the reasons why I laugh at it is because I've seen God be with me in so many situations in my past that I know that He's with me, I know that He's going to take care of me, and I know that He's going to provide. Because a lot of times when certain situations hit you, especially when it costs money, and it's money that you're not willing or ready to spend, a lot of times you can go like in chaos mode, or you just start freaking out. But it's like, no, God's with me and He's going to supply all of my needs. So right now I have a need and I know He's going to take care of it. He's going to supply it. So I'm not freaking out. I'm not worried about what's happening right now. I'm not like, letting all this stuff get to me or anything else. I just figured it would be a really good moment to just talk to you about what I'm going through currently, and just so that you can see how I handle the situation. Because like I said, 8 years ago, I would have been swearing, I would have been cussing, I would have been yelling, I would have been complaining about everything. And right now I handle things in such a different situation, and I handle this kind of stuff kind of like in the same way I do with most of my situations that I go through, to where it's just I have a calmness about me, I have a peace about me, I don't get worked up over this stuff, because ultimately this is just something that's so minor in my life. It's something that's so small, and it's, in my eyes, it's like insignificant compared to the big picture of everything else that's going on. So I don't really get worked up over this. I'm not going to let something like this steal my joy. There's no way I'm letting that happen. I'm going to let the joy of God reign in me and rule in me, and I'm going to stand strong in everything that I am and not let something shake me. So hopefully with what I'm saying right now, I'm hoping that this encourages you. I know that like one thing that like really helped me out is when I was working at my welding job several years ago, I listened to the entire Bible in about 5 weeks. And what really helped me was listening to the Old Testament. Now, as like a believer who is all about the new creation, the new covenant, so me saying, all about the Old Testament, don't get what I'm saying mixed up. What I'm saying is the Old Testament, I was able to learn some really good principles from it. So like when you listen to the Old Testament, you go through some of these stories, all you hear about, especially with the Israelites, is how they just murmur and complain in their situations. They murmur and complain. They're always complaining. And one thing I learned was like, you know what? God's not happy when you complain and you murmur and you complain and you murmur. What He wants is that you're in rejoice. So you rejoice that you're thankful for the things that you do have and for what has been, or what the things that you have been given in your life. So like right now, like I rejoice in the things that I have. I'm happy for the things that I've been given, and I'm content in those things. And I look back at my life and I say, God, you have blessed me in so many different ways. Why in the world would I ever let this little scenario right now get to me? There's no way I would ever let that happen. And I had to look at the scenario too, in the circumstance of like, you know what? Yeah, it's really cold out. It's snowing. It's freezing, but I have a roof over my head. I'm warm. We have heat. We have food. We have shelter. All these kind of things. And there's people who don't have those things. So why in the world would I complain about stuff and get in that kind of place when there's other people who are well worse off than I am? And I'm making this full circle now, because this goes back to like my mission of what I want to do and what I'm about, because I really want to see believers being strengthened to get past the place to where they're currently at, so that they can stretch their hand out forward and that they can touch some other people and they can help other people who are less fortunate than them, people who are needy, people who are homeless, people who are hungry, those kind of things. And what I'm really trying to say is just, we can't let our own we can't let our own circumstances get the best of us, and that we still need to be focused on other people, and we still need to have the love of God towards other people. So anyways, I hope you got a little laugh out of that story. Like I said, right now I have no idea what that septic tank looks like. It's probably bursting at the seams right now, and I'm not going to be able to use the bathroom tonight. I don't know. So we'll see what happens. But anyways, thank you for watching this video. And if you enjoy this video, if you enjoy this kind of content, please give it a like, give it a thumbs up. Also, please comment below and let me know what circumstances you're going through right now with any type of battles or any type of struggles or whatever circumstances. If you want prayer for something, just comment below and just say you need prayer for a certain topic. I'll definitely pray for you. And please, if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel if you like this kind of content, and hit that little bell so you get notified when I put a new video out. And I will see you in the next video.